Hello and welcome back everybody to Lucy, the eternity she wished for. So, you, me, or whoever you is, has to make a little decision here. So, what are we going to tell this dude about Lucy? It fell from the sky is like a joke star answer. I don't feel like I would answer like this. I don't think it's a bad answer actually. It's basically like it's none of your business answer. But I guess it's not really my style. Tell him the truth, we don't know enough about him to actually do that. So let's say I found it lying somewhere outside. I found it lying somewhere outside. It was the first thing that had come to my mind, and it didn't seem too believable. Well, you found her in a dumpster. It's not even all that big of a lie. You found her lying outside. What is he going to say? You found it somewhere. Oh, right, you're not voiced. I'm voicing you. Kind of forgot about that. You found it somewhere? This thing? Yes. Someone probably just threw it out. Ha! Well, must have been some rich fella. Robots are typically quite expensive, especially the premium models. Though more common nowadays, it's still a luxury to own one. You don't just throw them away like you would with old toys. It's like saving up to buy a top-of-the-line television. On top of that, if this android really is a high-class model... well, maybe I fucked up here. The repairman views the robot from multiple angles. Now, I don't know where this thing is exactly from, but it's definitely not from the S Company. Mind if I take a closer look? Go right ahead. I carefully hand over the robot. The repairman examines it meticulously, whatever the hell that means, from head to toe. The android stays completely still. Its eyes are staring right at me. Well, at least she listens to what you say. That is always good. Following orders. Good robot. Good thing I told it to stay quiet before we got here. PIM. Must be from K Robotics. Wow. I gotta say, your robot factories are actually not good with coming up for names. The K Robotics. The S Company. Yay! I suddenly grow a bit nervous. There shouldn't be any company labels on it. I decide to play dumb. I'm quite confident in my ability to keep a straight face. K Robotics, did you say? Yeah, they're at that huge building over there. You've probably heard of them, right? They're the ones who made this particular model. How can you tell? I don't recall seeing any labels or anything. It's the android's build. K Robotics is the sole company worldwide that's capable of producing robots of this caliber. But something is not right. The repairman gives a closer examination of the android. You could say that I'm pretty experienced in this line of work, but I don't think I've ever seen this model exhibited anywhere. Are you like the only child of that company's president or something? No. Then I guess you really did find it somewhere. Consider yourself damn lucky. Not a single bit of information has been released about this model yet. That's how new it is. I'm really interested in... Now, the thing is, it seems like this will be a pretty straightforward story. Like, he and the robot will... Or I and the robot, since it's you. I and the robot, we will develop a great bond or something like that. And in the end, we have to ask, what is a human? Is she already human? Or something like that. But what I don't know, and I have absolutely no idea, why was she on the dumpster? Why was she on the junkyard? Maybe because she was like too far developed already. Didn't I mention this last episode? Now that I think about it, I feel like I'm repeating myself. But I have the memory of an old man. Maybe because the robot was too human-like. Did I say that last episode? Tell me in the comments if I said that last episode. Call me out on my bullshit. It appears that I've hit the jackpot. It sure doesn't feel like it though. But wait, what's this? A nasty frown forms on his face. Is something wrong? This is problematic. Suddenly he starts fussing like a little kid. What kind of sicko would do this? Just look at it. The whole frame is ruined. It won't even be able to move around properly on its own. He was right. And that was pretty quick of him to point that out. I guess he really is the real deal after all. Do you think you can fix it? That's not the main issue here. There's something more important. And what is that? You have the resolve to take proper care of an android. The resolve. What's he suddenly on about? Listen. Androids break easily. They are fragile. They're sensitive. They're delicate. Do you get what I'm saying here? You should never treat an android this way. He emphasizes his point 3 times. That's how passionate he was about it. I can see that he really loves his robots. But at the same time, he's starting to freak me out. He continues to rant. To a lot of people, androids are nothing but fancy toys nowadays. I mean, those kind of folks pay for my food and my bills. But whenever I hear about how they've been mistreating their androids, I tend to lose my temper. They don't understand how important these creatures really are to us. I unwittingly take a small step back. Creatures. This man just referred to androids as creatures. He is not right in the hat. Is this... I wonder... Okay, now... Sometimes I have these moments where I'm really torn inside. This is one of them. On the one hand, I like that they are foreshadowing the problem of the story. Like, what is an android, etc. All the stuff I already mentioned. Like, are we starting to create humans 2.0, you know? I like the foreshadowing and that the repair guy already has these positions. Maybe our protagonist will adapt in the end or something like that. I have nothing against that. But, I don't know, it feels kinda like they're hammering it home a bit too much. I feel like we've hammered too much on this point so far in this visual novel. Like, I don't have a boner when I see a robot. I don't think robots can be creatures. I don't think robots here and robots there and androids and they're all just... You know what I mean? Like when I would find a robot and I don't believe that it might develop something like a human nature or something, then I wouldn't think all the time about it, you know? That is what kinda... Yes, as mentioned, I'm a bit torn on that. From time to time, people who fall in love with androids would show up in news reports. I'm not just talking about the ones who seek sexual pleasure from androids. I'm talking about the people that are willing to spend the rest of their lives with androids, treating them as equals. It's a pressing issue that's been brought up many times in recent years. It's an abnormality spawning from an advancing civilization with constant innovation and technology. As someone who's never seen it happen firsthand, I've always refused to believe it. As someone who's never seen... Oh, whoops. How could such people exist? An android simply lacks the intellect to be paired up with a human being. It's nothing but a glorified hunk of metal that can make our lives a bit easier. See? Now this on the other hand, I think this helps now. Because, as mentioned, they hammered so much home on this point that it is good that he brings up, yeah, actually it's often on the news and it's actually a pressuring issue of our time. Now that makes it a bit more believable. The whole questioning stuff, you know? I'd rather spend my entire life with a monkey. At least monkeys are actual living creatures. and they share a lot of similarities with us humans. This is the first time I've had something like this happen before me. Although, I feel more disappointed than shocked. He seemed like a perfectly normal person on the outside. But they say you can't judge a book by its cover. You understand? What I'm trying to say is that I'll get it fixed, but you'd better take good care of it. I feel this was a bit unfair, since I wasn't the one who messed up this Android in the first place. Even so, I don't feel like it's worth starting an argument over. Better to just bite my tongue and get over with. And get this over with, right? Whoops. And get this over with. Yeah, my bad. Alright, I just need to be a bit careful from now on, right? I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, what a great kid. At least you listen when someone tells you something. If you like me that much, could you charge me a little less? You're learning to bargain already? At your age? You're not such a great kid after all. He does a full turn in the blink of an eye. Unbelievable. Well, fine. Since you're my first customer of the day, I'll only charge you half as much as the usual. You're a fucking bad businessman. For real. Like for real. I'm relieved to hear that. Any discounts are most certainly welcome. That's great. Would you be able to finish it by the end of the school day? Yep. I don't particularly have anything else to work on today, so... He punches some numbers into his calculator. Then he shows me the results. It's probably still way too much, huh? I was planning on charging you only about this much. What do you think? My mind goes completely numb for the next 3 seconds. There are a lot of video games, and I've always wanted to buy. I also need to save up for new textbooks that I'll be using next year. This robot had better pay for itself. Fine. I'll have it ready when I return to pick it up. I take out the pocket watch that I always like to carry around. I've wasted way too much time here. Some people ask me why I still bother using such an outdated type of watch in our generation. I'll tell them that it has a nostalgic charm to it. I take this over the common wristwatches any day. You see, that is, again, a bit over the top. I mean, he plays video games, but no, I'm not wearing watches. I'm having like a pocket watch. And I'm against glasses, you know. This modern stuff, I'm using a monocle. Yeah, that's what real men do. I'm well aware that these types of watches are hard to find. But more importantly, this is my personal way of rebelling against this continuously developing society. Oh yeah, way to go. People who are different to be different. My favorite kind of people. That was always like a thought I never understood. Why in the hell would you try to be different? Just to be different. God damn it, be yourself. Do what you enjoy. I mean, now you could probably argue that the way they are is like rebelling against the machine, you know? That is their personality. But I always feel like this is a bother. And I'm not, and I don't mean like being a rebel or something. I think if you believe in something and then you go out and fight for it, not physically, but you know what I mean, then I'm all for it. But if you're just, I have a watch, I have a pocket watch, I'm rebelling, yay! Weak. It's weak. Hey, you piece of junk. Hey, can't you hear me? There's no reply or any kind of reaction. I finally decide to address it by name. Lucy. The robot reacts instantaneously. How troublesome this thing is. I'll be back after school. Behave yourself, alright? The android wobbles its head back and forth. I'm hoping it understood me. I leave the shop and head straight to school. Scenery change. Well, at least schools look normal in the future, I guess. I make my way towards the high school that I attend. I'm currently in my second year. While running, a movie that I'd recently watched springs to mind. It's an old sci-fi movie set in the year 2050. Sci-fi movies from the past are quite remarkable. They all seem to lack creativity. Some would include large-scale space battles. Other would have vehicles flying through the sky. That's just too unrealistic. It's true that there have been major strides in science and technology, but it's difficult to change what we've grown so accustomed to. In this year of 2050, oh, we're so far in the future, okay. I expected it to be like 2020, 30, something like that. On the other hand, we're so far on robot technology. Oh man. People still drive normal vehicles. People still ride bicycles and skateboards. Some people still use old fountain pens or pocket watches like me. But there exists a single piece of technology that's become more prominent in our lives. Androids. Out of all the things. Nothing else. But androids. Androids are being used everywhere around the world. That is the only difference our contemporary world has to offer. Calling bullshit on that. You know how much changed in my fucking life? When I went to elementary school, one person had a mobile phone. And it was one of these old school Nokia mobile phones. I don't know. If you're German, you know these. If you're not, I guess, I don't know. Is Nokia a thing in America? Like, these were these mobile phones that could kill people. You know, unbreakable, super hard, and so basic. And now we've got these iPhones and touches, and you're on the internet everywhere and stuff. Just in my lifetime. And this is from elementary school to now, it's like around a decade, a bit more. But it's like not much more than a decade. There must be so much change in the year of 2050. Now granted, there are probably really still people who use watches and stuff. But you can't tell me the only thing that basically has changed are androids. Don't believe that for a second. That's as uncreative as saying flying vehicles. So, shots fired back, my friend, you. I enter the hallway just as the morning bell starts to ring. Giving it all I've got, I make a dash for my classroom. Whoa! Okay, that actually scared me. Please refrain from running in the hallways. A janitor android scolds me lightly, but I easily brush it off. These types of androids have facial recognition capabilities that allow them to report troublemakers. Knowing that, I keep my face well hidden while running past the android. Exploiting their weaknesses is my specialty. As a result, I've never gotten into trouble at school. Safe! I enter the classroom acting like a professional baseball player who'd just stolen a base. I notice that the teacher hasn't arrived yet. I plunk down in my seat while still huffing. That was pretty close. Did you sleep in again? I hear a familiar voice calling out to me. It's coming from the guy sitting next to me. Oh. The good-looking clever guy, huh? A clever-looking fellow! Ah, touché, game, touché. I might complain a few times, but I guess we're on the same level. People usually refer to him by his nickname. Dr. Gears. Okay. That's because he's a real geek with a burning passion for robots. I, on the other hand, despise robots. And while I'd label myself an introvert, he's very approachable and outgoing. Moreover, our tastes and hobbies differ quite a lot. But he's actually my best bud in the entire class. Puzzling, isn't it? Even our classmates find it strange. No, I just had some business to take care of. I don't know. You're not like a... I'd give you like a nasal voice, like really this early in the morning, but I feel like you're too cool looking for that. I'll just give you a deep voice. Because I don't have so many voices. Really, this early in the morning. It's a long story. Unfortunately, I'm cut off by the sound of the classroom door opening. A middle-aged man makes his entry. It's the teacher. A female assistant android is trailing behind him. Let's talk about this later. I send him a signal. He returns a thumbs up. Lunchtime arrives in the blink of an eye. I take out my freshly bought pieces of bread and arrange them up on my desk. I prepare to enjoy my lunch with Dr. Gears. 2 desks have been joined together. On my desk, there are a couple pieces of fried croquettes and a carton of chocolate milk. On his desk, there's a tasty looking lunchbox. Oh, there's a thing in... Oh, a lunchbox. I thought about... So, I read so much Clannad, I automatically think like a bento box. But then I remembered lunchbox is not automatically bento. Start becoming a robot myself. My friend appears to be enjoying his lunch. I've heard that his maid android makes it for him every morning. But how is that actual food? How is the actual food? Huh. It doesn't look half bad. For someone who eats bread every day like me, it's truly a feast for the eyes. Why are you just sitting there? Got a problem with your food? No. I should start eating. I receive a light scolding. I take a piece of croquette to my mouth. Hey, actual sound effects. As I delicately bite into its golden, crunchy surface, a warm, savory scent fills my nose. The sweet flavor of the dough mingles with the tantalizingly aroma, creating a heavenly mixture. But that is not all. The cream inside unleashes a softness as it slowly melts on my tongue. Then the vegetables in the mixture provide a strong, rich flavor. The eggs and the mashed potatoes also join the fray, blending in pleasantly with all the other ingredients. This taste, this refined taste, it must be just a plain old piece of croquette. Okay, you got me for a moment. I put it aside and casually asked Dr. Gears a question. By the way, didn't you once tell me that you have a lot of androids at home? Huh? Yeah, 6 of them in total, I think. 6 of them, huh? What an impressive number. It's impossible for normal households to be able to afford that many. The rumor has it that he's from a rich family. I guess it's true. Where's this coming from all of a sudden? It's nothing. Oh, wait a minute. He starts grinning like an idiot. Hey, your food is falling out of your mouth, you know. You've taken a liking to androids, haven't you? Have you finally decided to put an end to this war between us? Well, for now I guess. A wise decision. Androids are simply amazing, you know. They are truly the greatest invention that science has delivered since the beginning of mankind. Forget steam-powered stuff. Forget the wheel. Forget everything that is done before. The thing we do, that's the best. Automatically. By default. I'm not a douchebag. Man, I kinda dislike you already, to be honest. I'm sorry, Dr. Gears. Also, I would prefer if you had a name. Like a real name. To be honest, I'm not a big fan of this, you, Dr. Gears. I forgot what the guy was called. I don't know, but this is set in the real world. Now, granted, maybe I can only now do wild guesses, but maybe the creators wanted to make sure that the Korean names wouldn't confuse people, you know. And as a person who has read Korean comics, or basically one, The Breaker, actually a very entertaining comic. The story is not that great, but it has great action sequences. Great comic in that regard. Anyway, but the Korean names always confuse me, is what I wanted to say. Because I'm way less familiar with Korean names than, for example, Japanese names. So maybe that is the way of the creators to stop that, to not make the English reader confused. Still, I don't know, it feels a bit unnatural. At least I think so. There are a lot of different types, but I would recommend the maid models above all else. They take care of all the chores and really know how to cook. On top of that, the female ones are all pretty cute. Sometimes I find myself admiring their beauty. You've got one sick, twisted mind, Gears. Don't you know that people can achieve inner peace with beauty? It's been proven by science, you know. I shake my head wearily. I do admire his enthusiasm over something so petty, though. Really. Look, I just care more about what's on the inside, that's all. What are you talking about? I'm saying that it doesn't matter whether they're pretty or not. I just hate robots in general. Here's an example using people. Let's say there's a person with a pretty face, but he's a man. Does the fact that he's got a woman's face change anything? No, he's ultimately a man. Likewise, even if I see a beautiful android, since it's ultimately a robot, its aesthetics don't matter anymore. Yes and no. You can still admit that it's... Like, I know many good-looking men where I can stand back and say, they look aesthetically pleasing. It's not like it does anything for me, but I can say they look good, you know? Now, that doesn't mean like you have to be turned on by that or anything, but at least you can stand there and say a robot looks good. I think that is actually a fair assumption. So, you're full of shit. It just becomes an illusion. What I'm trying to say is that even if a robot acts like a person, it is not. Therefore, all robots are the same to me and I dislike them all. I guess you still haven't changed your mind. But there has to be a reason why you brought it up, right? Normally you wouldn't ever talk about it. Well, yeah. If you're looking to buy one, I'm here for you, man. I'll make sure to fill you in everything you need to know. I'm telling you, you'll be making the greatest purchase of your life. After those words, I couldn't help but scratch my cheeks. I'm not exactly looking to buy one. Could it be that you're worried about the price, my friend? Don't worry. I have some connections that will let you have one dirt cheap. As long as I'm with you, there won't be any problems. No, it's not that. There's no need to buy one. Now, just what do you mean by that? I fidget around, not knowing whether if I should tell everything. I found one somewhere. Found what? An android. You found one? An android? Yeah. Where? At the junkyard. Holy, you lucky bastard. Is it something like an IDX 358 or 455? What model is it? Something that starts with a P. Can't remember. Someone told me it's a pretty recent model, but I haven't seen anything impressive yet. Might as well give it some time though. It was free after all. Huh. Now you've made me curious. I'll be sure to pay you a visit soon. He pauses for a moment before continuing, as if he's trying to change the subject. Well, I'm certainly happy that you've taken interest in androids, but... But what? But you should be careful. About what? You've seen them on TV lately, right? Those who are obsessed with androids. They say it gets really tough to deal with as time goes on. Robots are robots. Humans are humans. You should never forget this boundary between them. Robots are mere tools, designed to make our lives easier. Aye, so you're the opposite of the shopmaker. I'll see what kind of game we're playing here. It's a visual novel. Hoo hoo! What a pun. Nothing more, nothing less. You'd better off worrying more about the chances of being struck by lightning. Does he even realize who he's talking to? What an absurd idea. I know. Of course, I don't expect that to happen to you, of all people. But it doesn't hurt to be a little self-aware, you know. Better safe than sorry. Alright, I'll get ya. I'll keep that in mind. He nods in response. Okie dokie. Right at the 30-minute mark. Seems like a good point to stop school as well. You know, I have, so far, we're not actually far enough into the novel to say something quality-wise about it, really. But I gotta get this off my chest, and then I try to keep it to myself in the future, or at least don't complain about it all the time like I did. There's one problem with the story, and that is that the character of our protagonist is basically, I hate robots. We have learned nothing about this man. Except for the fact that he hates robots. Compare that to Planetarian, which is a pretty fair comparison, since it's both about robots and both set in the future, although one future is dystopian, okay. But before we actually encountered the robot, our hero was at least a little bit set up. And to be fair, he was also a douchebag. And he was very critical towards the robot, etc. But at least, like, we learned stuff about our protagonist, how he feels and stuff like that, and what his life is like. And, you know, I feel like our protagonist here is defined by his hatred of robots. What kind of character is that? You know? Our protagonist is kind of annoying me. That's not a good thing, in my opinion. I mean, I know where we're going. In the end, he won't hate robots, probably. And I know that it's okay to start him off at a position that he hates robots. But goddamn, can he have, like, other character traits too? Can he, like, I don't know, love soccer or something like that? Anything? Except for hating robots? That's my problem so far. But, yeah. So far it's not a major problem, it's just kind of annoying. But I guess we shall see where we go from here. I guess he'll get the robot back now, which will work. And over time he gets to know the robot better, and then he questions himself, etc. And in the end, the robot gets taken away, like the giant from space, or whatever that movie is called in English. You know, with the little boy and the big machine robot. You know what I'm talking about? Probably don't. So, thank you everybody for watching. Come back for the next episode. And I'll see you then. Bye bye.